Welcome back. In this lesson, we'll have a look transforming the hospital admissions data that we ingested from the ECDC website. As you know, we loaded this data into our data lake. So let's switch over to Azure Storage Explorer and have a look at the data now. Here we are in the Storage Explorer, and this is our data lake storage Gen 2, which is the COVID reporting DL. And our file was ingested in the raw and ECDC, and this is the file, which is the hospital_admission.csv. So I've already opened this data app in Excel. So let's have a look at the data. And this is the file. It's got country indicator, date, year, week, value, source, and URL. Firstly, let's identify the fields we need. I think we need all of these fields except maybe for the URL, which I don't think would add much value for reporting or any kind of machine learning because we've got the source, which will give us an idea of how our label the data is. So we'll drop that one as the first thing. And secondly, if you look at the granularity of the data, say if we do a filter, we have got data related to daily as well as weekly figures. So if you look at the indicator, so we got the daily occupancy data and also the weekly admissions data. Weekly new admissions data. Both are very useful, but at the same time, it's not a good idea to have one file representing two different granularity of the data. So what we'll do is we'll split the file into two separate files. One for daily and one for weekly. So when we come to do that, we would want to keep the date together with a daily file and the week with a weekly file. So that's the second thing we would do. So we would create two separate files. And the third thing we would want to do is similar to what we did previously. In the daily file, we got the indicator, which is the hospital admissions, hospital occupancy, and ICU occupancy, and then the corresponding values here. But it is nice to have dedicated columns to represent these data items. So we would create a separate column for daily hospital occupancy count and daily ICU occupancy count. In a similar manner, we would create two separate columns in the weekly file. One for the weekly new admissions for a count and another one for the new ICU admissions count. So that is the counts done. Dates, as we said, we'll rename this into a reported date but keep it in the daily file. And the year week, we would keep that within the weekly file. But I normally like to see not only year week. It's nice to say what's the start of the week and what's the end of the week. So having two dates there would help. So it'll be easier for us to join to any other data we would want. In order to do that, we have to use another lookup to get the information. So it is similar to DIM table within a data warehouse environment. So I've created a DIM file, as you can see here, that would give you for each of the dates. So this got a date key and a date. It'll give you what year that date belongs to and what month day. And also in our case, the important one is week of the year. So by combining this one and this one, we can derive the year week in our file. And we can also get the starting date for the week and the ending date. So for example, if you take week 2 here for 2020, if I select that one, so that would be week 2. We would want to get so that is that one. So we would want to get the start of the week and the end of the week. So we can do a group by on the year and week and get the min date and the max date. So the min date would be the start of the week and the max date would be the end of the week. So we will do that within our transformation and we'll derive the start of the week and end of the week and add it to the weekly file so it'll be easier to join that data to anything else you want to do. In this case, we'll also do a sort of the data so that the data, as you can see here, is sorted. So similarly, we'll sort the data and store it within our sync. So when somebody's looking at the data is sorted by a country and a date or a country and a week. So that's everything we'll do. Let me now summarize the transformations we discussed so far in our file. So as you can see, we'll take the raw file and create two separate files. One for the daily and one for the weekly counts. And on the daily file, we would map the country to country and we would look up on the country lookup to get the 2-digit, 3-digit country codes as well as the population data. And also we'll take the date and then rename that into reported date. And we would take the indicator and the value to derive these two columns. So which will be the hospital occupancy count and the ICU occupancy count. And we'll keep the source as it is. And we'll lose the URL from that file. So that's the daily file. And for the weekly file, we would do similar sort of things. So here we would take the country and keep its country and then look up to get the 2-digit, 3-digit and the population for the country from the lookup table. And in this case, instead of the date, we'll take the year week and then we'll rename that to reported year week. And the indicator and the value for the indicator will be used to derive these two columns here, which is the new hospital occupancy count for the week and the ICU occupancy count for the week, and we'll carry the source through and remove the URL. So those are the changes we need to do to the file so that it's transformed and good enough to be used for any reporting or any kind of data analysis purposes. So that's the end of this lesson, but in the next lesson we'll start to create our transformation and process the data through. See you then.